Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm so excited to be partnering with CoverGirl for this video. I really wanted to create a look that was very wearable, very easy to do for that person that still wants to get in the Halloween spirit, but you still want to be like pretty and glam, and most importantly, very affordable. So we're gonna start off by prepping the skin with your favorite moisturizer. You really want to make sure that your skin is nice and hydrated, especially since we're going to be layering on quite a lot of makeup. You want to make sure that your skin is super hydrated underneath it all. We're also going to use this CoverGirl TruBlend face primer for oily skin. Now, this is going to be the key to keeping on your makeup all night long. So if you're going to go to a Halloween party or you just want your makeup to last all night long, this is definitely key for that, because it's going to help to keep all of your oil under control. So if you produce excess oil, or if you're like me, you tend to get a little sweaty sometimes. And I really like to work it like down my nose and my T-zone, wherever I know that I'm going to get a little bit more oily, to make sure that my makeup stays in place. Since we are gonna do half of a skull, I have a few different shades of the TruBlend foundation. I'm gonna do my actual complexion on this side of my face, and I'm gonna go really light because I want my skin to look very pale and lifeless like a skull on this side of my face. For this side of my face, I'm gonna use M5, which is caramel beige. I'm just gonna do a couple of pumps on the back of my hand. Just like that. Ooh. And I'm just gonna take a beauty blender and blend it on. So this side of my face that I'm working this foundation on, this is gonna be our pretty, like, everyday side. So it's up to you how much coverage you want. I'm a full coverage girl, so I'm gonna add a little bit more. But that's the awesome thing about this foundation, is that it looks like skin, it looks really natural. So if you're someone that doesn't like a lot of coverage, you're not gonna need a lot. But you have the option of layering on a little bit more if you want to build your coverage. And I really love this shade. I think it's pretty spot on with my complexion. I like that it's not too yellow, it's not too olive, it's not too pink. It really is just like a really great balance and a really great shade for my complexion. Another observation that I have with this foundation is that it actually feels really weightless on the skin. It doesn't feel like you have on like a thick layer of anything. It just feels super weightless, which is always a plus, because since we are gonna be wearing a lot of makeup, you don't wanna feel like you're wearing a lot of makeup. So now that this side is complete, we're gonna move on to this side where our skull is gonna be. I actually am gonna use the lightest shade that I was able to find in this TruBlend foundation. This is shade L2 Classic Ivory. And I'm just gonna go in with another beauty blender. I would try to be as careful as possible with using the beauty blender when you are getting close to the split part of your face, because you do want that line to be a little bit cleaner. You don't want it to kind of be sloppy. So I am being careful with how I am angling it on the bridge of my nose and on my forehead. I'm giving James Charles vibes right now. Flashback Mary? Hi, Sister James, if you're watching this. I feel like a lot of people always feel when it's Halloween, you have to use like Halloween makeup, or you have to go to a costume shop to get special makeup. But in reality, you can create Halloween looks using some of your favorite products that you probably already have at home. So I was really excited to do this video with CoverGirl, because I really wanted to show you guys how you can, use everyday products to create these looks. And if you are specifically shopping to create a makeup look, you obviously want makeup that you can use down the line. You might also want to get your ears just a little bit, so they're not just like the color of your skin on this side. I'm gonna set this side of my face with a translucent powder. Since it is a lot lighter, a translucent powder totally works. I'm just gonna take it on a fluffy brush, and I'm literally just gonna set it all over this side of my face. This side you don't have to be super perfect and precise with, because this is the side that's gonna be our skull. So you want it to look a little bit more gritty. You want it to look a little bit more dead, if you will. I know I look crazy right now, but I promise it's gonna all make sense very soon. All right, so now that we have our foundation on, we have our regular normal side, and we have our skull side on, we're gonna move on to the brows and the eyes. So for my brows today, I'm gonna be using this CoverGirl Easy Breezy Brow. This is in the shade Soft Brown. It does have two different colors up here. They're different variations of like an ashy brown, and it does have like a really pretty pearlized shade down here that would be really good for like highlighting your brow bone. And what I really love about this, it comes with a double-ended brush. So you have your angle brush for your application, and then more of a fluffier application brush if you want to highlight your brow bone. So I'm gonna start off by brushing through my brows with a little spoolie. I'm gonna pick up this first shade in this little trio. I always like to do a little flapjack with my brush, a little back and forth to really make sure that I'm loading up my brush. I'm not gonna do anything too crazy with my brow on this side. I really want it to feel like it's my brow. So I'm just gonna run this product through the brow, kind of pull it out a little bit at the end. And I'm not mad at this brush that comes with this trio. Definitely gets the job done. I'm gonna add a little bit on this side just to build a little bit of base on this side of my face, but we're gonna make the brow a little bit more dramatic later on. But again, this is just gonna kind of build a nice base for me. Now you can take your favorite eyeshadow primer and use it to prime your eyes. Get it nice and prepped for the eyeshadow. So for my eyes, I'm gonna be using these CoverGirl TruBlend eyeshadow palettes. For my skull side, I'm gonna be using the Smoky palette. And for my everyday normal side, I'm gonna use the Nudes palette. So I'm essentially showing you guys how to do 2 looks in this video. You're welcome. But we're just gonna keep it soft and natural on this eye, and then obviously really kick up the drama on this side. We're gonna start off with our natural side using this Nudes palette. A lot of the shadows in here do have more of like a pearl, or they are more metallic-y. There isn't really any mattes in here. So for our natural side, we do wanna create an eye look that's a little bit more everyday, a little bit more wearable. So I'm gonna go in with this middle shade right in here. It's a nice soft brown color. I'm just taking it with a fluffy blending brush, and I'm just gonna work this in my crease, just like this. We want this to be our effortless, pretty side. Easy breezy pretty. And again, I'm literally just working that shadow in my crease from the outer corner to the inner corner, moving it in circular motions. And to kick up this eye a little bit more, I'm gonna go in with this deeper brown shade right over here, and I'm gonna layer that into my crease. Just want the eye to look slightly more contoured. And I'm just gonna take a stiff flat brush, and we're gonna go in with this really beautiful frosty champagne shade right in here. And we're just gonna pat this all over the eyes. This is just gonna add a nice little metallic pearl to the look. If you have any fallout, you can just pick up your fluffy brush with a little bit of that translucent powder and just dust her off. For this side, we're gonna use the Smoky palette. Now this side is the side where we really wanna kick up the drama. Before I even get started with this eye look, I do want to express that it does not have to be perfect, because this side is a skull. If it's not blending perfectly, if you have a little bit of fallout, it's totally okay. Don't stress out about it. I'm gonna go in with a clean blending brush, and I'm gonna start off with this light gray shade right over here. And I'm just gonna run this all over my crease. Now for this eye, I really want this to be really, really, really blown out and a lot more dramatic. So I'm gonna definitely go back into the palette a few more times and really make sure that it's nice and blended and smoked out. And with this, we also wanna really take it on the inner corner of the eye, and we're really, really, really gonna smoke it out and blend it out almost up into that brow right at the top of the beginning of the brow. You almost wanna push that color right into the brow, right in the beginning. Just like that. And this shade is really, really pigmented. I like that I can layer it and it just kind of gets a little bit deeper, or you can really, really blow it out and smoke it out, and it just looks really beautiful. And to really blow this out, really smoke it out, I'm gonna take a fluffy, clean blending brush, and I'm just gonna use this to diffuse the edges of that shadow. Grays and black and a lot of more of these like ashy tones is definitely what we want to go for on this side, since this side is supposed to be our dead side. I'm also going to take this shade and blend it underneath my lash line. It's going to be a pretty heavy drop down, because again, this side is supposed to be more of like a skull. It's supposed to look more, you know, like dead and tired, like we have bags under our eyes. I normally would go in with a smaller pencil brush to smoke out the bottom, but for this, again, we want it to look a little bit more gritty, so we can totally just use the same fluffy blending brush to really get under there and smoke it out. And going back to the front part of the brow, I'm just gonna take a little bit more of that color, and I'm actually gonna push it into my brow and slightly above my brow. Just right in here, we really kind of wanna drag it up and out. Now I'm gonna go in with a smaller, stiffer brush, and I'm gonna pick up some of that black eyeshadow in the palette, and we're just gonna start to pat this all over the lid on this eye. I'm also gonna go in with this CoverGirl Perfect Point Plus liner. This is in the shade Black Onyx. I always like to just warm up new pencils on the back of my hand just because I feel like sometimes they can get a little dry in the packaging. And we're gonna literally run this all over the bottom waterline. Really black it out, make it really intense. I'm also gonna go underneath my lash line, and I'm gonna go in with a pencil brush this time and smoke out that liner. And I dramatically wanna drop this down to really just look intense with the rest of the shadow. I'm also gonna line the top part of my eye, really close to the lash line. And I'm gonna go in with that blending brush, smudge it out a tad. So at this point, you should be looking a little bit more like this. I am gonna go back in with my Nudes palette, and I am gonna pick up a brown. I'm gonna pick up this chocolate brown that's right over here with a smaller brush, and I'm gonna run it underneath my lash line just to finish framing this eye. I'm going to apply a pair of false lashes, and I will be right back. Okay, so I have my eyelashes on. You guys can choose whatever style of lash makes you happy. However, I will be using my CoverGirl Lashblast Volume Mascara just to bind my natural lashes with the falsies. I don't know if you guys can see, but if I look up, you can kind of still see that like my natural lash has a little bit of powder over that. So I really want to black it out, and this is going to be a great tool to do that because the brush is so small and spiky. It almost just combs through the lashes. So I'm just going to do a nice generous layer of that on my lashes. And I like to do a rolling motion as I pull away from the root up into the lash to really make sure that I work that product all the way throughout. I decided to do a little bit more of a dramatic lash because I figured, hey, you know, if I'm wearing this out to like a Halloween event, you know, my lashes still gotta be popping. And this Lashblast Volume Mascara really just helps to thicken and just really bind the lashes. Because the brush is nice and spiky, I'm also gonna use this on my bottom lashes. Just gonna wiggle that product. Just like that. You guys know I love me a good bottom lash moment. So as you guys can see, I didn't put any eyeliner on this side because I really wanna have that contrast between like a more bright awake eye and then this eye that's just a lot more dark and sultry. I really think it creates that fun contrast. Okay, so I feel like we're starting to come alive, but dead. Starting to come together a little bit more now that we have our eyes, we have our lashes going on. Now we're gonna move on to a little bit of highlight and contouring. So on this side, I'm gonna keep it a little bit more natural, so you can just go ahead and pick your favorite concealer that you wanna use. Gonna blend that out with the Beauty Blender. So again, this is our natural side. So this is how I would normally do, you know, my face, my concealer on this side. We still wanna look how we would normally look. And to contour this cheek, I'm gonna use this CoverGirl TruBlend Contour Palette. This is a really cool palette because it's all cream shades. There's like a bronze shade, there's your contour shade and your highlight shade. I'm gonna use this shade right here in the middle, the contour shade, to contour my cheek. I'm gonna apply it with a synthetic brush. Since this is a cream, just gonna pick up some of that shade. And I'm gonna lay this out where I would normally contour my cheek. I'm gonna take my bottom of my Beauty Blender and just stipple it out. It's blend really nicely, which is always a good thing. We want things to look really nice and seamless and blended. Gonna take a little bit more and gonna add it right in like the temple of my forehead and blend that out just like so. Gonna take a little bit of that translucent powder. I'm just gonna lightly set underneath my eyes to set my concealer. Just a little bit. And then just taking whatever is left on the brush and just kind of pressing it all over my face. You wanna make sure that you're patting. You don't wanna like buff because it's gonna move the creams around. So you really wanna make sure that you're pressing and patting. I'm also gonna take this CoverGirl TruBlend bronzer. This is in the shade Bronze. And I'm just gonna use this just to kind of warm up this cheek a little bit more. I'm just gonna take a nice fluffy brush, swirl in here. And this does kind of have a little bit like a nice sheen and glow. So it will just kind of add a nice healthy glow to your skin. So moving on to the other side, we're gonna go back in with that contour palette with that synthetic brush. For my contour on this side, I do want it to be a little bit more dramatic. So we are gonna use this as a base and then gonna go in with the shadow to deepen it up. But I do want this side of my face to take more of a carved hollow effect, if you will. So instead of just contouring how I normally would, I'm gonna create a more defined shape. And I'm gonna go in with my Beauty Blender. Now that we have added that as our base, I'm gonna go in with a little bit more of an ashy toned bronzer, just to kind of lightly pat and set over it. And lastly, I'm gonna go back into the Smoky eyeshadow palette with a blending brush. And I'm gonna pick up that gray color that we were using on our eyes. And I'm gonna just use this to deepen up my contours. And again, this part doesn't have to be super perfect. We want it to look rough around the edges. So I'm gonna go back and forth between this brush for like application and then this brush to kind of really buff and blend. So I actually picked up a little bit more of that shadow on my brush. And I'm really going along the perimeters of my face for this. This color is just coming through today. Okay, so to really carve out this cheek a little bit more, I'm gonna go back in with my TruBlend foundation, just a tiny little dab on my Beauty Blender. Very little. And we're just gonna go back into here, where the hollow is, just to really define, as you can see. So if you go all over the place when you're blending, you're totally fine. We're really using this to really create that shape that we want for our skull. Just like that, simple, easy peasy, lemon squeezy, just let her be. Moving on to the nose for our skull, we're gonna go back in with that Perfect Point liner. This is a really simple, easy part. It just takes a little bit of patience and a steady hand, but I'm basically gonna use this liner to start to map out my nose down the middle. So you just wanna create the outline of what you want your nose to look like, and then you can just use the pencil to finish shading it in. So to really perfect and make this nose a little bit more fine-tuned, if you will, I'm gonna use that brush that I was using for my brows from my Easy Breezy Brow Palette, and I'm gonna go in with that black shadow, and I'm just gonna use this just to kind of clean it up a little bit more and just kind of really perfect the edges of the nose. So now that that part is done, we're gonna move on to the mouth. We're gonna start off by drawing a line with our liner, just kind of dragging it out. I'm probably gonna take it like about to right here. And you wanna start from the inner corner of the mouth and pull out. Just like so. And we're gonna do some lines. Then we're gonna do and create the same lines on the mouth. Before we do that though, I'm just gonna take a little bit of that foundation and I'm just gonna kind of dab it over my lips on this side just to kind of really mute them out. Make them look a little lifeless. And I'm gonna go in with this pearly white shadow from the Smoky palette. I'm almost trying to blur out my lip line. And we're gonna create the same lines on our lips as well. Try to get the lines as straight as possible. So now you should be looking a little something like this. I really want the skull to feel a little bit more reflective, so I'm gonna pick up a really bright, kind of like metallic-y highlighter, and I'm just gonna press it right onto the higher points of my cheek, right in here. Just like that. It'll really help to bring more contrast and dimension to your skull because you have like the shadows with the mattes, with the contour, but then that highlight just really kind of makes it a little bit more three-dimensional, if you will. Kind of like where the lighter parts are, you really want to just give a little dimension. So before we finish the skull, I'm gonna go ahead and add a little bit of color to this side of my mouth. So I'm gonna go in with my CoverGirl Melting Pout Gel Liquid Lipstick. This is in shade 150. It's called Raspberry Jelly. It has a really interesting applicator. It's like a sponge tip. It looks like this. So same thing on this side as I did on this side. I'm gonna take a little bit of that TruBlend foundation with my Beauty Blender just to slightly clean up my contour because that's normally what I do with my Beauty Blender. Just not as dramatic, obviously. Just kind of place it there, and then I take the bottom of the Beauty Blender and just kind of blend it out. Just to kind of give it a little bit more structure, a little bit more shape, if you will. So I did want to add a touch of sparkle to my skull since it is a diamond skull. So I got these cute little, tiny little rhinestones. Looks like that. And we're gonna glue them on with some lash glue. I'm gonna place the first one on the inner corner of my eye. Place one underneath my brow bone. This is gonna be the difficult part with talking, so excuse me as of now, but I'm gonna place them on the white parts of my lips, kind of like in between the gaps where the lines are. It's almost supposed to be like teeth. So once you're done applying all of your rhinestones, and again, you can have the freedom to apply them wherever you'd like. I kind of just kept it like in the mouth for like the teeth, and then out here, and then just a couple around my eyes. It does feel a little uncomfortable, but nothing too crazy or unbearable. I think that this is definitely like a photo moment, if you guys catch my drift. I would typically add like highlighter on this side, but I just really kind of want to keep this side a little bit more flat and everyday, and then this kind of side be the one that's more three-dimensional with a lot more kind of like contrast and texture. Now there is one more thing that you can add to really kick up this look and take this to the next level. A creepy, scary contact lens. I got this at a Halloween shop. It's not uncomfortable at all, but it really just elevates the whole look because it really kind of creates that split between your normal beat self to your dead skull, diamond skull self. So definitely a must for me to really slay this Halloween. That pretty much completes this look. I really hope you guys enjoyed watching this Halloween tutorial. I really wanted to do something that was very easy, at the same time affordable. So big thank you to CoverGirl for partnering with me on this video. I really felt like all of the CoverGirl products that I use in this video really helped me transform my everyday self to more of like this glam skull. Again, it's all about having that creativity and really taking like your everyday products and using them in a way that are a little bit more untraditional, maybe something that you never thought that you could do. So this was really fun because everything that I used was just pretty much everyday makeup from CoverGirl. It wasn't anything that was like from a Halloween store or like a special effects store, and I feel like you still get that effect. Before you leave, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Make sure you thumbs up this video and leave me some comments below of what you thought of this video. I would love to know what you guys are doing for Halloween, what you guys are gonna be for Halloween. I'm still not 100% sure, so if you guys have any ideas, shoot them my way because I need some help. I will also leave all of the products that I use in this video in the description box below in case you guys wanna check any of them out. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I will see you guys next time. Happy Halloween, guys.